Petition face-to-face banking services.
Beg to move that this House do now adjourn.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. Sir Paul Beresford.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Leave of the House, because I've already spoken this afternoon. Can I thank you and also the Minister for coming, and even her officials who, of course, are unable to be able to see. Nevertheless, I'm thanking the Minister in advance because I'm hoping for an excellent, useful response. And I do realise I'm picking on a planning case that's specific, which is under an inspector's review, and therefore the Minister cannot respond to the actual specific case, but only respond in the round, so to speak. Now, I came to London from an area of open green hills, bush, trees, the lot, from horizon to horizon. And arriving in East London was more than a shock. I moved then to Mole Valley, so I'm particularly delighted that the voters of Mole Valley have returned me as their MP several times. Mole Valley is south of London, bordering on the M25 with Epsom and Ewell, Guildford to the west, Gatwick to the east, and halfway to Worthing going south. What distinguishes it from London is the green open spaces. There is the famous Box Hill, there are farms, commons, parks, and they're all amalgamated together, glued together if you like, and retained so by the Greenbelt land. It is a lovely place to live. The residents live there because it has two small towns, many villages, but spread amongst the green. The local planning council is Mole Valley District Council. It's Liberal. It's controlled by the Liberals. There's nothing Liberal about it at all. The last ratified local plan for Mole Valley was dated 2009, and at the moment I understand that more than 90% of English local authorities have adopted and are up to date with their local plans. Liberal Mole Valley is inherent authority amongst the 10 or less percent of local authorities, but it's leaving them vulnerable, as they're finding now, to developers. In May 2019, the Liberals took control of Mole Valley District Council, and with that the responsibility of producing the draft local plan. This draft local plan was produced over the period from then till February 2020. It was passed for consultation by the Council Executive and the Council without a vote. It contains 30 or more greenbelt sites. I haven't counted them, I'm told that. Many, if not most, were vehemently opposed by the local residents. Not just those next to the greenbelt sites, but within, as the New Zealanders say, kui. I recognise that the proportion of land protected for development in Mole Valley is considerable, and relatively speaking, the quantity of brownfield sites free for development is small in comparison. But it's not possible to not increase the numbers of dwellings on those brownfield sites. I know from my own time in inner London that imagination, the new rules and regulations on building, etc., it's possible to increase density, height, and adapt to those sites. And it's been claimed that the percentage of green belt sites that the Liberal plan will remove from protected status is small. However, it's a bit like my saying to a cancer patient that the prospect of long-term cure is 97%, which sounds great, unless you're in the 3%. And this is what's happening with the greenbelt sites. It's small in percentage term, but if it's near you, if it affects you, if you've lived there in part because of that greenbelt site, it's bad news. The plan went to inspection, but at last May local elections, as it arrived, the Liberals asked the inspector to stall her inquiry. She did. The Liberals announced on their election leaflets that they were to remove the greenbelt sites from the draft plan. They didn't. Last month, at a full council meeting, the council faced a decision, a choice of three from the planning officers. The first was that the plan be withdrawn for a complete rethink. The second was to continue with the inquiry but withdraw the Greenbelt sites. The third was to continue with the plan inquiry with these 30 or more Greenbelt sites included, which the Liberals had said they'd withdrawn, but hadn't. Just before the council met, the member for North East Derbyshire, the Minister for Housing, being very aware that a restart is probably the worst option, wrote to the council telling them they had to keep the plan in the system. They couldn't withdraw it. The Liberal Council, in classic Liberal duplicitous way, chose to proceed with the inquiry with the Greenbelt sites that they said they had previously removed, but hadn't, still in the plan. The need for a clear plan is obvious. It's protective of sites that are not appropriate for development, but also sets out development sites that are considered suitable. The current Mole Valley plan situation came back to bite the Liberals. A site near Dorking, I'm just giving as one example, but there are others, called Sons Farm, is a green belt site. It was put in the draft local plan by the Liberals for its green belt protection to be removed. In spite of this, the Liberal Council did an about-turn and refused a developer's application for housing on the grounds that it was a greenbelt site, ignoring the fact that they were going to withdraw it. This was in the line with what a very large number of local people wanted to happen. They wished to support Sons Farm as a greenbelt site. Perhaps they were unaware that the Liberals had in effect already given it away. Not surprisingly, the developer, having faced a refusal, took his application to appeal and won, with the inspector pointing out that the site was down in the Greenbelt plan to be taken out of the Greenbelt. There are others in the portfolio that are going to be in the same situation, one of them not very far away now. So, broadening, my ask of the Minister is that she re-emphasises the importance to her ministers, to the government, and certainly to me and most of my residents, the importance of the protection offered by the Greenbelt, and that the removal of that protection from a site can only be under exceptional circumstances, and that those exceptional circumstances do not include housing. This is a long-standing situation. It applied when I was the Planning Minister, and I think it still applies now. It's not specific to Mole Valley, it applies across the country. And I cannot but emphasise the importance for so many in Mole Valley and so many other areas throughout the country that the strength of protection for the Greenbelt is retained.
Minister Felicity Buchan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I first of all congratulate my honourable friend, the member for Mole Valley, on securing this debate and for his very eloquent speech. I would like to respond by commenting on the latest position of the emerging Mole Valley local plan and to explain why the department has intervened. On the 25th of January, the Secretary of State exercised his powers under Section 27 of the 2004 Planning and Compulsory Purchase Act to direct the Council not to take any step to withdraw the plan from examination. My honourable friend will know that my ministerial role in the planning system, and indeed he has alluded to this, dictates that I cannot go into the specifics of the local plan, which remains at the examination stage. But I will try to deal with some of the general points and the reasons that we have taken the action we have. My honourable friend will know that ministers have consistently set out the importance of having an up-to-date plan in place. As he correctly says, the Mole Valley local plan is from 2009. That is a remarkable over 14 years old. It should have been updated many years ago. And as he quite rightly said, this makes their plan one of the bottom 7% of plans in the country by age. This is clearly just not acceptable. The Council submitted its emerging local plan for examination in February 2022, and the hearing sessions commenced in June 2022. It is, of course, the role of the independently appointed inspectors to look at whether the plan is legally compliant before considering whether it is sound. For a plan to be found legally compliant, the local planning authority must demonstrate that all the procedural checks and balances have been followed. Effective cooperation early in the plan-making process is essential to ensure that the homes and infrastructure needed are planned for. It is also expected that authorities collaborate with stakeholders to identify the relevant strategic matters to be addressed. For a plan to be considered sound, it should be positively prepared, justified, effective, and consistent with national policy. Ultimately, the inspectors may report that the plan is unsound and cannot be adopted by the local council, but that, as my honourable friend will understand, is not for me to decide. As I have said, Mole Valley has an old local plan, and so having an effective and up-to-date plan in place is long, long overdue. Such a plan is essential to identify the very latest development needed in any given area, deciding where it should go and dealing with planning applications. The plan is also the main vehicle for setting out the vision for Mole Valley and for how to address housing needs along with their economic, social and environmental priorities. Whilst it is for the independent inspectors to consider the Council's plan strategy, I know that Mole Valley's emerging strategy has been to not fully meet their own housing need. What is clear is that Mole Valley has not been delivering homes. Their delivery is within the bottom 10% nationally, as shown in the latest housing delivery test results. The Council has itself indicated, as part of its examination documentation, that it had a shortfall of 1,164 dwellings over a 5-year period, with only 2.9 years supply. And my honourable friend will also know that housing affordability is a significant issue in Mole Valley. So the Council is clearly way behind, one, in terms of having a plan, and secondly, on delivery of housing. The inspectors had agreed to pause the examination from February 2023 until May 2023 to take account of the local election result, and this was later extended to allow for the publication of the updated NPPF. This was a perfectly reasonable position to take. However, the transitional arrangements in the updated NPPF make clear that the Mole Valley local plan will be examined using the pre-December 2023 NPPF, i.e. the NPPF under which the draft local plan was developed. My honourable friend will also know that our government's policy is clear, that councils and their communities are best placed to take decisions on local planning matters in their area without unnecessary interference from central government. However, when it becomes clear that a council is not acting in the best interests of its communities, it is only right that government considers if it is appropriate to act. With this in mind, the department became aware of an extraordinary council meeting arranged for the 25th of January, which included a motion to withdraw the local plan from examination. Now, it is not unusual for a council under a new administration to want to change direction on its local plan, but this is normally before a plan is formally submitted to examination. However, there was no change of administration at Mill Valley. It was a Liberal Democrat administration who voted to submit the plan to examination, and then it was a Liberal Democrat administration who wanted to consider a motion to subsequently withdraw the plan from examination. And this after the plan had reached an advanced stage in the process, with the hearings completed and main modifications to be finalised. This is highly unusual. When a council has one of the oldest adopted local plans in the country, the withdrawal of the plan at this stage would have meant starting the whole plan preparation process again. The Secretary of State quite rightly concluded that such an action would not be in the best interests of the people of Mill Valley and decided to intervene. I am sure that my honourable friend would agree that it cannot serve his constituents' interests for further delay in a plan coming forward. Yes.
I completely agree with her, and on the reasons that our colleague wrote. The difficulty is that with the two choices left, one was to withdraw the Greenbelt, the other was for it to remain. The choice of the council was that it should remain with the Greenbelt sites. My honourable friend said that they have to justify their decisions. So if they, as I see it, will have to justify why they have 30 or so sites, perhaps individually, down in that plan, withdrawn from the Greenbelt, in spite of the fact that the local population are vehemently against it.
As my honourable Thank you. As my honourable friend will appreciate, I cannot talk to the specifics of the plan. That is not my responsibility. However, I will go on and talk generally about government's philosophy on the Green Belt. However, just to be clear, the process of the local plan is that it does go to examination with the planning inspectorate. It is the planning inspectorate who comments on the plan, and then it goes to consultation. As I had been saying, it is definitely in the interests of the constituents for there not to be a further delay in a plan coming forward, because that may well mean that homes will be built on a speculative basis and with no coordination and limited buy-in from local people. And even the council has acknowledged that in the absence of an updated plan, with no prospect of a new plan coming forward for years, the district would be at risk of development on Greenbelt sites getting planning permission because of the district's poor housing delivery record. I am pleased to hear that following the Secretary of State's most timely direction, Mill Valley Council has now indicated its willingness to progress and then conclude their work at the examination. Their intention is therefore to inform the inspectors that the Council wishes to continue with the draft local plan, subject to the modifications identified by the inspectors. So I want to step away from the details of Mill Valley and the local plan and to update the House and to clarify government's position on Greenbelt. So let me touch on what we are doing, not only to protect but to enhance our green belt. I am proud to say that our national planning policy delivers on the promises we made in the 2019 manifesto. The government remains committed to protecting and enhancing the Green Belt. National planning policy includes strong protections to safeguard this important land for future generations, and this policy remains firmly in place. I should emphasise that national policy will continue to expect that Green Belt boundaries are altered only where exceptional circumstances can be fully evidenced and justified at examination of the revised plan. In order to demonstrate exceptional circumstances, it is for any local authority to show that it has examined all other reasonable options for meeting its identified development needs. Green Belt release is a last resort.
Not in the broad, not the specific one case. Is it not unacceptable to make the exceptional or assume the exceptional circumstance is to increase housing? It certainly was when I was in her shoes. Is it still standing at that?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I think that the government's position is quite clear, and let me just restate that. To demonstrate exceptional circumstances, it is for the local authority to show that it has examined all other reasonable options for meeting its identified development needs. As I say, Green Belt release is definitely the last resort. Thank you.
Thank you. The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as that opinion say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order. Order.
The proceeding has ended. 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 The